Reading with Yogi. This is what the channel is all about. Books are really important to me. I love reading. So, this is an opportunity for me to use YouTube as a platform to share what I love to do and potentially to get paid to do what I'd paid to do or what I pay to do every day that I go to a bookstore and buy books and then read them. So, welcome YouTube, welcome Instagram, welcome to all of the platforms. My name is Yogi Marquis. I'm going to be sharing bits of my journey with you. I'm so delighted to be here with you to share this beautiful mission that I have on this platform on this wonderful day. So let's just take a moment and relax. Just sit here in stillness. And if any of you guys are need to relax, sit back in your chair, just be here in this moment. Move your awareness to the center of your chest. Just observe the rising and the falling of your breath. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to change anything. Just allow yourself to be in this moment. Just breathe in and breathe out. Just be present and be here. And if any thoughts, sensations, or emotions come up, that's okay. Just note them and then allow them to float with the next breath. And allow yourself, ITT, allow yourself to just be in this moment, being here, settled. Hello, Pablo. Moving your awareness to the center of your chest and just breathing in the here and now. Hi, Pablo. It is good, TT. The beauty of being in this moment and the goodness of this moment, with all the love and the hearts flowing in this moment, is that you get to enjoy a piece of peace. Oh, look at all that love coming through the chat, y'all. And I hope that you are feeling the love coming back to you. Allow this breath, this meditation to be a connection between us and you. Yeah, baby. And allow this moment to just be as it's supposed to be. Hopefully, your awareness is in your chest. You're just breathing in and breathing out. And you're feeling the love, maybe even allowing a little smile to come across your face. And wake up and experience the beauty of this moment and this place. You don't have to say anything, TT. You can just enjoy this. Allow this to be relaxation and meditation that is spontaneous. As Pablo says, you are someone who relaxes people. I am that I am. And so are you. Allow yourself to be someone who relaxes someone too. And in this moment, you're just being aware of your breath. And if you want to let some love keep flowing through your keyboards, go ahead and click them hearts, lick them comments, and send a like, subscribe, and all that thing to share the goodness to everybody. TT has to go somewhere. I'm enjoying it. Thank you so much, TT. Thank you for being here. This has been a lovely meditation with Yogi Marquis. Pablo and TT, thank you for joining me. Oh my God, I feel all the love surging through me, all through you, passing it through, giving it to you, giving it to you, giving it to you, giving it to you. Feel that love, feel that love. I know you got to go somewhere and I'm going to miss you. I hope you subscribe so you can see the next time I'm on. I do yoga, I do meditation. Sometimes I do dating content. I'm going to read some books in a minute after we get into this meditation. But TT, you'll be able to come back to my channel and see when I post this video, and you'll be like, oh my God, I was there for greatness. And hopefully those of you that are in the background that are not commenting, maybe like Pablo or some of you that are Pablo, I was famous before Facebook. Now we just coming back for the crown. It's one of those beautiful things, Pablo. I am hoping that I become famous too. I hope that you have your dreams. Hey, hey, TT is back. I love it. I got TT and I got Pablo. Pablo wishes I become famous, and TT went out there and then came on back. Hello, TT. I should ask, what part of the world are you in, TT? Donde está usted? Now, the beauty of this. Oh my God, I get the loves coming back. I love the heart. See, when I sit there and get the love coming back, and the love is coming from the UK, where the oh my God, I love the UK. They have fish and chips over there. I've never been to the UK. My baby brother went there. Oh, and Pablo is from Canada. Every once in a while we say Canada. We have the beautiful you guys have that amazing prime minister up there. And we have Drake, of course. If you're American, we all know who Drake is. And y'all got the Toronto Raptors, but we got the UK. We got the beautiful ladies. We got fish and chips. Oh my God! What are the famous foods of which part of Canada? Nova Scotia? Are you in Toronto? And what part of the UK? So I can figure out which UK accent to go and try to fake. I don't know any good Canadian accents to try to fake, but every once in a while I can try to do I could try to do Ontario. Oh, he's from Ontario. See, that's the most terrible British accent ever, all time. Although I can do a great Barack Obama, I've been told. Let me be clear. What we're going to do is, TT, I loved it. You liked and you subscribed. You just made my day. Everybody, I hope everybody likes, comments, subscribes, send this to their friends, send some love, send some happiness, send some joy, some peace. We got the purple pill happening here today on the book club at the Yogi's retreat here at the Riverside and the River House. So we're recording content here, and I love it that TT liked, comment, and subscribed. I mean, TT, oh my God, Pablo, you liked my video, and Pablo, y'all are making my heart swell up so big. My heart is just busting all up in my chest. Just, thank you. You just made all my day, all over my screen. Blah. That's what happens when somebody likes and comments on a video. You get a little love on the screen. I hope that and somebody's gonna hit some hearts in a minute to send some real love on the screen, just like blah. There's really and every subscription helps out. We're on that mission to get to that. What is that? The 1,000 YouTube subscribers and uh 4,000 watch hours. So you guys, every moment that you spent with me, every moment that you spend with me, you're helping me grow this message. Oh my God, Pablo is going to subscribe. Thank you, TT. Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Yogi Marquis Show. I'm your host, Yogi Marquis. Today, we're going to do some meditations. We've already done some meditations, and everybody's leaving and everybody's coming. That's what the show is all about: leaving and coming, coming and leaving, leaving and coming. Everybody being together, bringing peace, joy, health, wealth, love, and happiness, all in this space. So, today, we're going to do some reading. I'm going to start off with one of my favorites, a book by Steve Chandler called My Phone is Broken. Wait, hold on, Pablo. My phone is broken at the top, kind of. Okay, well, Pablo's phone is broken at the top, kind of. That's a challenge, Pablo. So, what I would do is if you could. Oh, well, TT, am I going to go live tomorrow? Yes, I am going to go live tomorrow. And you'll be able to watch the replay tomorrow on my YouTube. So, uh, I look forward to you being able to see what I am going to do. Oh, so you can't subscribe. So Pablo, you're just gonna have to remember me and then remember this chat and then search me up and then find me in your life, Pablo. You gonna figure it out, Pablo. As Pablo's gonna be like dun, 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 dun. Pablo's gonna find Yogi Marquis on every platform. He's like, I'm going to find Yogi Marquis everywhere until I can get that space on my phone that is not broken where I can actually subscribe to him on YouTube. Everyone. Everyone subscribe to Yogi Marquis on YouTube. Everyone should subscribe to Yogi Marquis on YouTube. I guess I should probably try to do a Patrick Beth David. Even trying to do that voice made me cough. Patrick Beth David, look at that. Pablo is going to find a whole new phone to subscribe, everybody. So, those of you who have a working phone in your hand right now and you haven't subscribed, I don't know what is going on with your life, but I love you anyway. I love you and care about you and want the best for you. So, right now, we're going to read a bit of Right Now, Mastering the Beauty of the Present Moment by Steve Chandler. Do I have a favorite movie? My favorite all time movie is The Usual Suspects. Number two, Pulp Fiction. Number three, Lion King, the OG Lion King, with Mufasa. And number four, probably uh, the movie that I've watched the most over and over and over again in my life. Like, honestly speaking, The Big Lebowski. The Big Lebowski is the movie that I have watched. So there was a time when I moved to Los Angeles, and I had a friend named Wayne, and I slept on Wayne's couch for a number of years. I didn't know anybody in LA, and Wayne said, "Marquise, move on out to LA and sleep on my couch." So I did. And a lot of days, and Wayne had this amazing Criterion collection of DVDs and laser discs. Some of you kids like weren't even born when laser discs were actually created or a thing or even died out. Y'all are like, what is that? Y'all are like, what is media that has cords? You mean you didn't just plug your stuff in and you didn't just have access to all your stuff through your phone? No, back then we didn't have phones that had all that media. We had a phone that just was a phone. That's how old I am. I know. Black don't crack. Pablo, thank you. I'm glad that you're going to come back. So, back to Wayne's story. Um, back then, back then on Wayne's couch, I came to LA. It was amazing. And I remember he picked me up from the bus because I caught a bus here, um, all the way from Chicago. I caught a bus to Los Angeles from Chicago, and he drove me through Skid Row. So I got to see the level of poverty. That was like the first thing I saw in LA, like the homelessness and poverty. And then we went to Del Taco. And then we saw, and that was back on the Del Taco on Santa Monica Boulevard. And that was back in about 2003 or 2004, somewhere around there. Um, and back then, there was a large uh, cross dressing and transgender community that would uh, frequent that area on Santa Monica and Highland. These are the best ways that I'm trying to put what those folks were doing in that area at all kinds of night. So that's what I'm trying to convey. And we went to Del Taco. That was my first time having Del Taco. And I remember thinking about my mission to make it and being so grateful to just have a place in LA on a couch. And so a lot of nights we would sit around and eat different foods from different places because I didn't know anything. And I wasn't trying to eat the same stuff that I had before. But, I had some rules. Couldn't eat sushi. Tried sushi. Didn't love it the first time, but somebody helped me out with that. And I just learned to make friends everywhere I went. But at home, we would watch The Big Lebowski and just talk, have conversations. Wayne, we all knew each other because we all worked for the Jerry Springer show, and because we worked for the Jerry Springer show, we had let's say an eclectic group of friends, especially Wayne and our other friend that was there. H, we had some interesting times. So thank you for bringing that story up, Pablo, so I could share it. So this is right now. This is one of those moments where this is probably for the book cover. Labels that stick me to the past. I was sitting with clients around a table when one young woman labels that stick me to the past. I was sitting with clients around a table when one young woman told us about her personal life and how she balanced it with work. During the course of her conversation, she talked about nutrition and food and then said softly, I'm a cake person. She was confessing to a weakness for cake. But her words hit me like a ton of bricks. What she said, I'd never heard it described that way. I'm a cake person? Until Up until that very moment, I didn't know I could be a cake person. I thought it was always about the eating of the cake. I assumed I had to discipline myself to eat less cake. I thought it was all about bad choices in the moment, choices that led to my plump stomach. But what if I'm a cake person? Hmm. Then, when someone points out that I'm violating my paleo diet commitment by eating cake, I can simply let them know that the choice is not mine. Why? I'm a cake person. I mean, hello! If you're a cake person, you eat cake. It's no longer rocket science. And inside the Enlightenment experience, I saw exactly what it is that gets in the way of our unlimited freedom and creativity, what produces our inability to thrive inside the present moment. We can't thrive right now because we are covered with labels. We have labeled and classified ourselves, and the labels have seemed to increase our significance. But what are they really doing? They've only strengthened our separation from the universe. We slap labels on permanence and frozen characteristics onto what was formerly unlimited joyful energy. Watch the family video of yourself running around and laughing at age 3. We pin ourselves down this way. We chain ourselves up. We end up like those people who enjoy being chained to a big brass bed. We become twisted. We now struggle and strain against life, but we are really just struggling and straining against the way we labeled ourselves. We say things like, I'm a cake person, and because of that, and only because of that, when I go to a birthday party or a funeral, I eat cake. I'm gonna eat all the cake. It's a choiceless process, seamless limitation, organic captivity. I'm a progressive. I'm a conservative. I'm a Scorpio. I'm an atheist. I'm a foodie. I'm an introvert. I'm a 2 on the Enneagram. It goes on with each label, and I get smaller and more paranoid. No wonder all I think about is how I can somehow get into a better future, a better now than this now. But what's the answer? What's my solution? Find someone who will steam these labels off my body. Mm. And take these chains, as Ray Charles sings, from my heart. Mm. I came to realize that people build themselves personalities as they build houses to protect themselves from the world. But once they have built a house, they are forced to live in it. Then they become its prisoners. Colin Wilson, Necessary Doubt. I came to realize that people build houses. I came to realize that people build themselves personalities as they build houses to protect themselves from the world. But once they have built a house, they are forced to live in it. they become its prisoner. Colin Willison, Necessary Doubt. That's from Right Now by Steve Chandler. Need to drink some water. Ah. This is F the Fairy Tale by Damona Hoffman. This is F the Fairy Tale. Rewrite the dating myths and live your own love story by Damona Hoffman. Introduction. If you asked me when I was young what I wanted to be, I definitely wouldn't have said a love coach. I never felt lucky in love and always felt a step behind or slightly out of place. I was never asked to prom or homecoming for that matter. My first kiss was during a game of truth or dare at age 16 with some rando named Adam. Or was it Paul? Maybe John. Honestly, I barely remember it, and he probably doesn't either. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't the nerdy, ugly duckling that you might be picturing. I was a cheerleader. I starred in the school plays. I was twice elected to student government. But I was definitely not one of the it girls, the women who naturally know how to attract guys. When I went to college, I felt like I was the only when I went to college, I felt like I was the only virgin there. Surveys show at the time that 65% of people had sex in high school. Now, 20 years later, that number has dropped to about 55%. More on that later. Every time I would go out with my friends, I'd end up holding their coats and purses while my friends chatted it up and gave out their numbers like they were tic tacs. I felt worse than invisible. I felt different. Back then, few people on TV and in magazines looked like me. The standard of beauty in those days didn't account for brown skin, wild curly hair, and a fuller figure. I didn't see men falling for a woman because of her provocative intellect and snappy sense of humor. By the time I was an adult, I was a full on love cynic. I moved to Los Angeles and dove headfirst into my work. I found career success early, getting my first assistant job at CBS in the casting department at the ripe old age of 21. The harder I worked, the more I recognized, and the more it made me want to keep working. My job gave me validation and worth. So it is what I would put my effort and attention toward. Chasing boys was a road to heartache. But the harder I loved CBS, the more love it gave me in return. I devised a clear life plan. I worked my ass off for the next 10 to 15 years. And then when I sucked up all the love from my career, I would magically meet a man that fit right into my life. I wouldn't leave this coveted yet exhausting career as a casting director to have kids, but I told myself that my future husband would somehow make it all work. Mhm. My boss at CBS was light years ahead of me. She had followed the same path 20 years earlier and ended up in a loveless marriage, supporting two kids and a husband on her executive salary, while he shuffled from gig to gig. She filed for a divorce and made her dating her top priority. This new thing called online dating was all the rage for 40 something divorcees and dudes in their mom's basement, or so I thought. It was impressive, nonetheless, that she would line up 2 or 3 dates after work. She had to pick up her kids from her ex's house. At one point, she was even in a relationship with the CEO of a global ice cream chain. I couldn't believe he was on the dating site. His mom mustn't have had a nice base. His mom must have had a very nice basement. Mm. Meanwhile, I would often stay out until midnight with some actor, poet, musician who seemed more interested in what I could do for them as a casting director than who I was as a person. On one of the many mornings, I dragged my hungover bones into my office. My boss stared into my bloodshot eyes, poorly disguised after a night of broken-hearted bawling. "I don't like these guys you're going out with," she said, concerned. "You should try online dating." I literally LOL'd. Online dating was not for successful women in their 20s. I met ton of men. I went out all the time. I had excuse after excuse at the ready. Yet, as I stared at my Dickensian ghost of future dating, it made more sense. It began. Yet, as I stared at my Dickensian ghost of dating future, it began to make sense. Those days, the barrier to entry for online dating was high. Your cell phone did not have a dating plan, let alone a camera that could take usable profile pictures. I would have to scan a printed a- I would have to scan a printed photo into a computer. Of course, I didn't have a scanner at home, so I'd have to go to Kinko's in the pre-FedEx era. Mhm. Swallowing my pride, I asked the cute guy behind the counter to help me scan some solo shots of me onto a disk. No, not a thumb drive, a physical disk. Mortified and certain that he assumed I'd crawled out of my mom's basement for this task, I took the disk back to my home desktop computer, dialed up onto the internet, and transferred the files to my dating site. It was my work. It was worth it. By the next week, I was rolling in messages and potential dates. Turns out, my boss and I had a hidden superpower useful for online dating. As casting directors, hmm, we looked at pictures of people all day. We skimmed through photo after photo, tossing most, but always looking for that diamond in the rough. Who would make us stop and pay attention? Hmm, that intriguing shot that made us feel like we knew the actor just from the curious expression on their face. Mm. Our years of experience in the audition rooms meant not only were we good at picking the cream of the crop, but also were we understood what it took to be chosen. We knew just how to present ourselves to get picked out of a crowd, how to distill our essence into a single look. Hmm. Let's see, I want to practice. How to distinguish our look, how to distinguish our essence into a single look. Mm, mm. What, what would be my mm. Is this how to distinguish how to present my essence with a single look? Mm. Side camera, mm. Main camera, side camera. Main camera. Okay. Back to the story. I did the narcissism thing where we get caught looking. We knew just how to present ourselves to get picked out of a crowd, how to distill our essence into a single look, how to tell our personal stories through our photos. Then, when we went on dates, we understood that our job was to be charming, to listen well, and to leave them wanting more. A headshot was to a dating profile what an audition was to a first date. We were online dating Wonder Women, and we were casting ourselves into the love stories of our lives. Hmm, look at that. But this wasn't just a game to me. Sure, I was good at getting dates, but I never lost sight of the ultimate goal to get my partner and to truly be loved. I discovered that as I leaned into the things that made me unique, I attracted better matches for myself. All of those quirks, crazy stories, and embarrassing experiences that I thought made me different, see, undateable, when I was younger, were actually the things that people were interested in learning more about. Huh, who knew? As I unpeeled the layers and showed my authentic self, I attracted authentic love. It took 2 years of fine tuning my online dating strategy for me to meet the leading man I was looking for. He went by the name of Mr. Pandemonium, which I now find ironic considering he's the most grounded, methodical person I've ever met. Seth, a quintessential Virgo. By the third date, I knew he was different too, but different in the best way. Seth also had struggled with finding love, and he felt like he'd squandered his valuable college years. He figured that, statistically speaking, college was his best chance at finding his wife. At school, he was surrounded by more smart single women than he'd ever be again in his entire life. The odds were in his favor to find his match before graduation, but his mission was unsuccessful, and instead, he moved to Los Angeles to pursue a career in screenwriting. If he made it, this could be an alternative path to attracting an incredible wife. Yet if he failed, he'd be relegated to the classification of most undateable men in Hollywood: unemployed screenwriter. Yet if he failed, he'd be relegated to the classification of the most undateable men in Hollywood. Unemployed screenwriter. Lucky for him, our love story took off, and later, so did his writing career. Soon after meeting Seth, I became an accidental expert in online dating. Friends and relatives started asking for my secrets. I gave them feedback on their photos, helped them rewrite their bios, and counseled them after dates. One amazed friend would tell another, and before long, I was the profile whisperer. I didn't intend to be an online dating coach. I was still planning to become vice president of programming. Yet the longer I kept up my side hustle, Yet the longer I kept up my side hustle, the stronger the pull became to help more people. In 2010, I launched my original dating blog, Dear Mrs. D. And I also birthed something else into the world, our first child. And I got that VP title. Ka-ching. Then I walked away from it to do what I know what I was meant to do, to help people find love. Mm. Since that time, I've helped thousands of daters navigate the new normal in dating. I worked with JDate and Match.com when they were still dating sites. I became the official dating coach of the OkCupid dating app in 2021. So long ago. My prior television experiences prepared me well for giving dating and relationship advice on air. I've hosted 2 series for A&E networks, hashtag Black Love, and A Question of Love. Then I became the resident love expert for the Drew Barrymore Show. Now, Dates and Mates, the podcast that began as a labor of love in 2012, has hit many top 10 lists and was named Best Black Podcast of the Year by Black Podcasting Awards in 2022. And as of the writing of this book, is still growing. I started matchmaking and writing for the log running Washington Post column, Date Lab. Then, the LA Times asked me to write an advice column, answering relationship questions. I guess it's time to admit that I'm no longer a love cynic. I'm a love guide. I lead people to understand their true self so they can attract their true love. It's an unbelievably fulfilling and satisfying career. But as with any worthwhile venture, it has its share of challenges. Stay tuned for tomorrow, where we will read What's Going Wrong. Stay tuned tomorrow, where we will read What's Going Wrong. The lighting is changing behind me. I'm going to shift gears a bit from Dates and Mates for a book, a part of the GCLA Book Club. Reflections of a Radical Servant Leader, Courage to Let Your Life Speak, written by Loretta B. Randall, M.A. Preface. My makeover. You are witnesses, declares the Lord, and my servant whom I have chosen, so that you may know and believe me. Isaiah 43:10. This book is about my journey of change and the transformation of my entangled human heart. It reveals how God apprehends an angry, emotionally damaged, militant minded Black woman and single mother and begins the makeover of hard, harsh, and horrific tests, turning each one into a testimony. Through this process, a much better version of myself has emerged, bringing forth an incredibly kinder, gentler, radical servant leader. When Jesus Christ comes into the life of a woman, she becomes bodacious and brave. Now that's radical. Before I begin my makeover story, it's important to pay homage and acknowledge my African ancestry. I give thanks with a grateful heart to the generations of radical servant leaders of men, women, and children who died and survived the middle passage of transatlantic slave trade, and those who were forced into servitude, slavery, to end the lands of the new frontiers of North and South America, Caribbean islands, Europe, the Neanderthals, Sweden, and other countries. My heart believes that God can and will use all things to transform humanity into the likeness of Christ. After all, God's word affirms, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. Now that's radical. What brings me to write on the topic of servant leadership? It would be my entry into seminary at age 62 that inspired and groomed my thoughts to contextualize my life experiences and events through the lens of servant leadership, a modern day term coined by Robert Greenleaf. My professor affirmed my writing skills and encouraged me to take my thesis project theme and write my first book. Never in my life I heard such a thing. Me, a writer? I became tickled at the idea and accepted the challenge. Yet the act and the art of writing remains tedious and no less easier. This book writing effort has been 5 years in the making. As a young girl growing up in a young town in Vallejo, California, it would be the radical servant leadership of my parents that set the path of service for me to follow. My father served in the United States Army as a cook during World War II. On rare occasions, he would share his culinary exploits with his family. My parents modeled strong work ethics before all 10 of their children, in particular, their 8 girls. We were taught that service and work to the humanity was, in fact, honoring God. Even accompanying my parents on their various domestic servant jobs was expected. My mother taught each of her girls to cook, clean, iron, and volunteer. By the age of 10, I knew the art and science of making homemade yeast rolls and how to iron my father's heavily starched khaki pants. Yet, it would be my father who taught me how to scramble eggs without drying them out. Mm. As early as age 5, my sisters and I served in the church. Taylor Chapel CME Church is a small, unassuming, well manicured church building on the corner of Louisiana and Monterey Streets in Vallejo, California. I recently learned it was Mother Mary Taylor and her 3 adult daughters who were moved by the Spirit in 1949 to mobilize, organize, and build a church. The doors of the church opened in 1953. It would be in this small church context that was organized and led by women where my servant leadership would be cultivated. In the backdrop of all this servant character development was the encroaching, heated, and rising social tension of the civil rights movement of the 1960s, led by the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and many others. The church, more specifically the Black church, became the ironic radical servant leader, extending her hands by opening her doors, mobilizing peaceful protests and more. Further, when I was a high school student, I recall the seed of service being planted even deeply in my soul. It was the words of former President John F. Kennedy: ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I'm going to read that again as John F. Kennedy after I take a drink of water. Ask not what your country could do for you, but what you can do for your. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. John F. Kennedy Jr. His assassination fueled my servant's soul, which was already overfilled with anger. Another major turning point in my makeover process came later in life. My servant's calling became radical and a bit militant after hearing a news report that an 18-month-old child had been sexually violated. It would be this event and other forces that propelled me to ask to serve at-risk children and youth up close and personal. My mandate from the Holy Spirit was to open my heart and make covenant with the vulnerable. My mandate was from the Holy Spirit was to open my heart and make covenant with the vulnerable children and families through prayer and presence. What does it mean to be radical? I understand it to mean being incarnational, reaching down into the very root of something in order to change it. Like Jesus. He died. Sorry. What does it mean to be radical? I understand it to mean to be incarnational, reaching down into the very root of something in order to change it, like Jesus. He lived, died, and was resurrected as a radical servant leader to the extreme, making you and me his priority in the process of transformation. What radical love? It is my hope that this book will serve as an inspiration, motivation, and innovation for believers, especially older adults, leading them to surrender places of grief and pain to the Lord of love, who will transform them into something incomparably beloved. After all, we are all called to offer our lives as God's radical servant leaders for the cause of justice and the welfare of all children. Tune in tomorrow when we will begin the introduction of Reflections of a Radical Servant. Reflections of a Radical Servant Leader. Courage to Let Your Life Speak by Loretta B. Randall. Anything You Want by Derek Sivers. "10 years of experience in 1 hour. From 1998 to 2008, I had this wild experience of starting a little hobby, accidentally growing it into 2 big businesses and then selling it for $22 million. So now people want to hear my thoughts. People ask me about that experience, so I tell stories about how it went for me. Many of them are about all the things I did wrong. I made some horrible mistakes. People ask me my advice on how to approach situations in their lives or businesses, so I explain how to approach things. But my approach is just one way, and I could argue against it as well. Really, it's just, you know, I pick. I'm not really suggesting that anyone should be like me. I'm pretty unusual, so what works for me might not work for others, but Enough people thought that my stories and the philosophies I developed from this experience were worth sharing. So here we are. This is most of what I learned in 10 years, compacted into something you can read in an hour. I hope I hope you find these ideas useful for your own life or business. I also hope you disagree with some of them. Then I hope you email me to tell me about your different point of views because that's my favorite part of all. I'm a student, not a guru, baby. Okay, I added the baby. Yogi added the baby. There's no baby in this. I added the baby. What's your compass? Most people don't know why they're doing what they're doing. They imitate others, go with the flow, and follow paths without making their own. They spend decades in pursuit of something that someone convinced them they should want without realizing that it won't make them happy. Don't be on your deathbed someday having squandered your own chance at life, full of regret because you pursued little distractions instead of big dreams. You need to know your personal philosophy of what makes you happy and what's worth doing. In the following stories, you'll notice some common themes. These are my philosophies from 10 years I spent starting and growing a small business. One, business is not about money. It's about making dreams come true for others and yourself. Making a company is a great way to improve the world while improving yourself. When you make a company, you make a utopia. It's where you design your perfect world. Four, never do anything just for the money. Mhm. Five, don't pursue business just for your own gain. Only answer the calls for help. Six, success comes from persistently improving and inventing, not from persistently promoting what's not working. Mhm. Six, well, I'm probably off count. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Your business plan is mute. You don't know what people really want until you start doing it. Mhm. Eight, starting with no money is an advantage. You don't need money to start helping people. Nine, you can't please everyone, so proudly exclude people. Bye bye. 10, make yourself unnecessary to the running of your business. I like that. 11, the real point of doing something, of anything, is to be happy. So do only what makes you happy. Oh. What do these statements mean? What's the context? How are you supposed to apply them to your own situation? Well, I don't love talking about myself, but for the lessons to make sense, I have to tell you my tale. Ooh. Little Ernest Holmes, day one. I enter into a newness of life. I create new heavens and a new earth. Isaiah chapter 65, verse 17. We have been given the ability to initiate a chain of causation. There is but one mind and we use it. The laws of nature are universal, but we use them is but our use of them is individual and personal. The laws of nature are universal, but our use of them is individual and personal. Our thought is operated on by a universal creativity that is infinite in its capacity to accomplish. Thus, in taking thought, we do not force anything. We merely decide what thought to follow, knowing that the result is automatic. Spirit is forever unfolding in its own nature. In the physical universe, it does so independently of our thought. In our personal lives, it must do its renewing activity through our thinking. To the degree that our thinking accords with the original nature, the same harmony will operate in all affairs that already operates in that larger world that we experience but neither create nor control. Everything is continually being recreated. Spirit is forever making all things new. Today is the time to prove to ourselves that it knows how to bring things to the right things to pass for us. Let us confidently affirm the divine presence and actually believe that it is guiding us as we consciously bring a problem we are facing into our thought, not as a problem, but as though we are receiving the answer, saying, I believe that divine intelligence, which is the mind of God, is guiding and guarding and directing my thoughts and actions. And I believe that God already knows the answer to this particular problem. Therefore, I am letting go of the problem and I am listening to the answer as though it were sure. The answer to this problem exists in the mind of God and is revealed to my mind now. Something in me does now. Something in me does know what to do. I joyfully accept its guidance. I am open to new ideas, new hopes, and new aspirations. This which so recently seemed a problem no longer exists, for the mind of God, which knows the answer, is quietly flowing through my thoughts and feelings. Great peace and joy come over me as I accept this answer from the giver of all life. Okay, checking the microphone, seeing who's here. And one last reading. This book, the title page has been torn back. However, it's one of the most powerful books that I will read. It's called The Psychology of Financial Planning, The Practitioner's Guide to Money and Behavior by Dr. Brad Klontz, Dr. Charles Chafin, and Dr. Ted Klontz. The Yogi Marquis Reading Hour. This is from the section called The Anti-Saving Instinct. When someone comes from humble beginnings and achieves wealth. Oh, hold on. We must hit record on the other one. Hold on. This is a selection from The Psychology of Financial Planning, The Practitioner's Guide to Money and Behavior by Dr. Brad Klontz, Dr. Charles Chafin, and Dr. Ted Klontz. When someone comes from humble beginnings and achieves wealth, they may feel a sense of guilt as they have become what their family and friends have labeled as bad or corrupt, leading to all kinds of poor decisions and behaviors. In other words, when someone has something we want, but don't have, we are likely to experience feelings of envy. To cope with the uncomfortable feelings, we disparage them. As such, those who advance above the middle class are often looked at as greedy, selfish, corrupt, or evil. People soothe those feelings of evil or envy or jealousy with a balm of moral superiority. Society still shames and shuns people who hoard wealth rather than share it for the greater good. However, those who are shunned and shamed are no longer plucked from the gene pool. They can now pass those saving traits onto the next generation. As humans moved into the agricultural age, saving became crucial and thus more acceptable. A future orientation, the extent to which one plans ahead and thinks about the future consequences before taking action, becomes critical to survival. Farmers who saved a portion of their crops could invest in the following year's planting, contributing to the survival of the community. Still, from an evolutionary standpoint, the human being as saver concept is still in its infancy. Mm. This is a powerful, powerful reading. Tune in tomorrow where we will read more from this book, The Psychology of Financial Planning, The Practitioner's Guide to Money and Behavior by Dr. Brad Klontz, Dr. Charles Chafin, and Dr. Ted Klontz. Powerful book, just masterful. And tomorrow, oh, this is Super Attractor by Gabriel Bernstein. Introduction. You are a super attractor. I've always known that there is a non physical presence beyond my visible sight. All of my life, I've intuitively tuned into it and used it as a source for good. I've tapped into this unlimited presence of power to heal my body, support my relationships, guide my career in the service of others, and attract my greatest desires. There are many names for this type of spiritual presence. I refer to it interchangeably as the universe, God, spirit, inner guidance, love, and other terms too. You may have your own word that resonates with you. You may have your own word that resonates with you. Or maybe you're new to spirituality and don't yet have a vocabulary around it. It doesn't matter. What we call it is irrelevant. Connecting to it is imperative. The very fact that you are reading this book right now or listening to me read this book to you right now is evidence that you have listened consciously or unconsciously to divine guidance that led you to here. And you are willing to claim that connection. I honor you with your willingness. Claiming my connection to the presence of this power has directed the course of my life. The simple choice to tune into this source of love has helped me to recover from addiction, heal PTSD, undo fearful beliefs, and live with clear purpose. My connection to the presence of love has been my guide, my protector, and my partner in the co-creation of my life. Living my life in daily devotion to this non-physical source of power has made me a super attractor. Being a super attractor means that I believe that what I believe is what I receive. I can co-create the world I want to see by aligning with good feeling emotions, directing them towards my desires. I can tap into an unlimited source of creative energy to contribute inspired ideas, offer wisdom, receive abundance, and feel free. Yes, feel free. And best of all, I can harness this power into a force for good in the world. Being a super attractor doesn't mean I haven't had to face very real challenges, but I can see clearly how my challenges have been a part of a bigger plan to help me strengthen my faith in my super attractor connection. I've chosen my perceived hard life experiences as spiritual assignments for growth and healing. I've accepted that nothing happens by accident. Mm. And I know that as long as I remember that I'm a super attractor, mm, I will be able to accept difficult experiences as opportunities to fine tune my inner power and get closer to consciousness. Mm. As long as I remember that I'm a super attractor, I will be able to accept difficult experiences as opportunities to fine tune my inner power and get closer to consciousness. The tough stuff offers me a chance to shine the crystal that is me. Being a super attractor doesn't mean everything is perfect, but it does mean that I show up for life with faith no matter what. Claiming my super attractive power has helped me to move through tough times, which with much more grace, honesty, and compassion than I otherwise would. Living my life in this way has brought me what I would desire most: freedom. I feel free knowing that there is an all present energy of love within me and around me. I feel free knowing that I'm always being guided, that I have the power to co create the world that I want to see. Freedom is the greatest gift of all. Nothing holds me back. I'm no longer playing small. For more than a decade, I lived, loved, and taught with this freedom. Freedom has given me the experience of being an untethered force of light in the world. When you align yourself with the super attractive energy, you no longer feel blocked by fear. You remember that you are a spirit having a human experience. The spirit within you as a presence of inspiration, joy, and the truth of who you are. When you practice these steps, you remember that you are a wise, powerful, healthy, and holy spirit. When you accept this, you can be free. The feeling of freedom is inevitable. When you attune your energy to the presence of the truth, you may not stay connected to this truth all the time, but the more often you turn to it, the easier it will be to feel free. As a spiritual teacher, I have witnessed hundreds of thousands of people throughout the world begin to wake up to the presence of the freedom within. I see the transformations daily, but while that awakening is beautiful, it isn't enough. Too often we treat it as the end point, but it is really just the beginning. We may know that we can feel better and therefore attract more, but we must go further and fully embody that truth in order to be free. Embodying this truth begins by undoing the belief system of fear that is blocking us from being super attractors. We must be willing and committed to change the way we think, act, and live. In my case, I didn't have to go out and find this connection. I just had to slow down and remember it. I've devoted my life to the process of slowing down and realigning with the presence of inner power. With each meditation, I vibrate at a higher frequency. With each prayer, I surrender to a power greater than myself. My dedication to the spiritual realm has given me the freedom I desire. I am not exceptional. You have this connection too. And claim it And claiming it is both fun and easy. In this book, I want to share with you how to connect to this power and also to this, reading of the book, you know, however it works, however you get here. I want you to know I want you to know this. You are a super attractor. I want you to know this. You are a super attractor. I want you to know this. You are a super attractor. I want you to know this. You are a super attractor. I want you to know this. If that feels strange to you right now, that's okay. But I know that by the time you finish this book, you will claim that power with total confidence and ease. You will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are a super attractor. In 2016, I published a book called The Universe Has Your Back. Transform fear to faith. Readers throughout the world followed the book's lessons to strengthen their faith in the universe. They reclaimed their connection to a higher power and restored their faith in love. When I prepared to write a new book, I intuitively knew that it was time to take these teachings to a new level. This book is that next step. With the practices outlined in the coming chapters, I'm going to push the spiritual envelope to teach you how to fine-tune your spiritual connection to effortlessly attract what you want into your life. If you haven't read The Universe Has Your Back, don't sweat it. It's not a prerequisite. Trust that you were guided here first for a reason. You may already be on the spiritual path. You may already practice manifesting and live by the law of attracting or the law of attraction. Or these concepts may be completely new to you. Leave it in the comments section. Either way, this book will help you become second nature. Throughout this book, I will share my own personal methods for aligning with your super attractor presence. Some of these practices have been greatly influenced by my teachers, Abraham Hicks, Dr. Wayne W. Dyer, and the metaphysical text, A Course in Miracles. But my greatest teacher of all has been my life experience. Each day offers new opportunities to get closer to the universe and strengthen my super attractor power. Each life challenge offers new miracles and lessons. Throughout the book, I'll call on my own personal example of what it's like to live in alignment and be a super attractor. Super Attractor, Gabriel Bernstein. Chapter 1. Introduction. Reclaiming your super attractor powers. To master your super attractor power, you must start by understanding how you've likely become disconnected from it. In nearly 15 years as a spiritual teacher, I've gained a very clear understanding of the common ways people misuse and block this power. I expect you'll recognize yourself in some or all of the most common types. Super Attractor, Gabriel Bernstein. Chapter 1. Introduction. Did you forget your power? Even a person on a spiritual path can forget that they're a super attractor. Did you forget your power? Even a person on a spiritual path can forget that they're a super attractor. It's all too easy to get sucked into the fear-based stories of the world and weaken your faith. When fear takes over, you go into a kind of comatose state. You literally forget who you really are. You build up belief systems of separation, lack, judgment, and negativity. All those false things, all those false perceptions deny your inner power and block your super attractor power. This book will be a wake up call to remind you of who you really are. Just by opening to this introduction, you've begun to wake up and remember. Super attractor, Gabriel Bernstein, Chapter 1, Introduction. Are you manic manifesting? There are many people who read personal growth books, attend seminars, meditate, pray, and still feel stuck. I hear this often. Gabby, also Yogi, I'm doing everything right, but I still feel so off. I'm praying, meditating, and using positive affirmations, but I'm still not attracting what I want. What's wrong? What's wrong is that they're doing what I call manic manifesting. These folks have faith in the universe and lots of spiritual tools, but they are energetically blocking their connection. They've been playing tricks with the universe rather than aligning with their true power. Manic manifesting happens when someone has all the spiritual tools and jargon but forgets that most important of attracting, to tune into the universe. You can say affirmations, pray, and meditate every day and still not attract because your energy is out of alignment. Instead of allowing yourself to receive, instead of allowing yourself to receive, you want to get. This book will teach you that the most important element of manifesting with the universe is to embody the energy of love. If you identify as a manic manifester, you're in the right place. In this book, I'll hook you up with a whole new way of being. Gabriel Bernstein, Super Attractor. Introduction. Are you a pusher? Pushers are people who try to push and control to reach their goals and feel safe. They believe that the more they do, the more they'll achieve. They're trying to make things happen rather than allowing themselves to attract naturally. They've forgotten that there is support beyond their own action and will. Pushers believe that they have to make things happen, and aligning and receiving guidance don't come into the equation. They've forgotten where their true power lies. This is a common characteristic. It's one that many cultures often seem to reward. Pushers have a fear based belief that if they're not super productive, nothing will happen for them. Little do they know that their pushy energy is blocking their capacity to attract. The universe doesn't respond as well to frantic energy. Rather, the universe vibrates at a positive frequency. And to co create with it, your energy must align with that frequency. The practices in this book will help you slow down, be still, and allow. I will teach you the art of allowing so that you can stop pushing, feel secure, and start receiving naturally. Gabriel Bernstein, Super Attractor. Introduction. Does fear have you in a headlock? Each day brings new opportunities to lean towards fear or lean into love. While we always have a choice, we often, quite unconsciously, default to fear. We choose fear in many ways, from the TV we watch to the conversations we have to the thoughts we entertain. The presence of fear is a sure sign we've disconnected from the loving presence of the universe. Throughout the book, I'll offer you practical tools and spiritual principles to undo fear and reclaim love. Undoing fear doesn't have to be hard. In fact, it can be much easier than you've ever imagined. Get ready to create radical shifts fast. Gabriel Bernstein, Super Attractor, Introduction. Do you judge? Judging, comparing, attacking, and seeing ourselves as separate from others as disconnect us from the universe. If you identify as a judgmental person, judging others or yourself, take a moment to acknowledge how it makes you feel. Be honest and gentle with yourself as you do this. While you may feel justified in your judgment or try to rationalize it, it's undeniable how negative it makes you feel. Being a super attractive is about feeling good. And in this book, I'll give you lots of amazing tools and spiritual practices to help you cultivate joy and have fun. As you become willing to release your judgment and choose compassion and peace instead, you will reconnect to your power. These are just a few of the common ways we block our super attractor power. The good news is that your power never left you. You simply forgot about it. This book will guide you to recognize it, claim it, use it to attract what you want, and be a force for good in the world. Let me guide you to become a super attractor through powerful steps explained in the upcoming chapters of this book or this, thing, podcast. These chapters will include spiritual methods and lessons that build on each other so that by the end, you will fully justify and claim your power. While each method in this book can While each method in this book can be applied independently, I've placed them in an order that has a cumulative effect. Practice each method as presented so that you can get the most out of this transformational process. You may find that some lessons resonate with you more than others. That's okay. Once you've gone through each chapter, you can then apply the tools interchangeably at your own pace. Most importantly, have fun. The more fun you have, the stronger your super attractor power becomes. Fun turns you into a magnet for miracles. And here's the promise. When you accept that you are a super attractor, life gets awesome. I'm going to say this one more time for the camera. When you in fact accept, when you in fact accept that you are a super attractor, life becomes awesome. You feel joyful, inspired, purposeful, and empowered. You'll no longer feel the need to control, compare, or push, and you'll settle into a sense of ease. Best of all, you'll become a powerful example for others. You'll vibrate at such a high, loving frequency that your energy will be felt far and wide. Here's how the book breaks down. Chapter 1. The universe always delivers. Every thought you have is a message that you send to the universe. The universe is always saying yes to your thoughts, energy, and emotions. Therefore, what you put out, you will receive back, whether you want it or not. In chapter 1, I'll guide you to bring awareness to what you're asking for. I'll help you see how you're often asking for what you don't want, and I'll show you how you can consciously clarify your requests to the universe. This is an imperative step towards being a super attractor because it establishes a clear dialogue with the universe. In this chapter, I'll teach you my method for tapping into your super attractor power instead of following the voice of fear. And I'll show you how to make it a habit that's easy to sustain. Chapter 2. It's good to feel good. One of the biggest blocks to being a super attractor. It's good to feel good. One of the blocks to being a super attractor is our resistance to feeling good. We've all grown far more comfortable in a state of fear than in a place of joy and faith. We've learned to rely on fear as a way of protecting ourselves from being disappointed, hurt, or triggered. We've become so accustomed to the feel for projections of the world that we don't trust the things can be good. Unconsciously, we feel that if we focus on everything good, we will lose control and be unsafe. In chapter 2, you will learn how to change your thoughts about your fears and begin to make feeling good a priority. This step prepares you for the manifesting to come because in order to attract all that's good, you must first believe that you are worthy of it. The exercises in chapter 2 will help you welcome worthiness and happiness and prepare you to claim all that you will attract. And that concludes today's book club. Peace and blessings, my friends. Yogi Marquis.